Okay, hello boys and girls. I am excited to do another drawing with you today. Today we are working on our octopus. So you have already seen the video on how to draw the octopus, and you can rewind that or fast forward it as many times as you need. Do a couple of practice ones until you get it correct and looking great. So I'm really excited to see all of the pictures that you send me, and I am giving out dojos for those as well. So here we have our octopus. He is our subject, and everything else is the background. So we're going to use our imagination to figure out what might be in the background. Of course, your background can be like mine if you like, but I encourage you to use your own ideas, use your own imagination to create your own world back here. So I drew my octopus, and I kind of thought that he was kind of sitting maybe on a rocky shelf or something in under the water, under the ocean. So I'm going to kind of draw like a bumpy line like this because I think that he's sitting on kind of a rocky shelf. And maybe he's looking out under the ocean. He can see all kinds of things back here. The great thing about this is that you can use your imagination. This is your world. You can create anything back here that you like. So I think on my rocky shelf, maybe there's a little hole in this part of the rocky shelf, and then maybe there's another little hole over here, but there's all kinds of different things here. And you know what? I think there is kind of a starfish who's kind of hanging out on this rocky shelf. So I'm just going to give him sort of like these. They're almost kind of like triangle things for arms, 5 of them. And we've done things like this before, so actually you should be able to create the starfish because we've done that in class quite a few times actually. So he's just kind of hanging out here, and maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some different kind of rocks here where he's kind of hanging out. But I thought that would be cool to put a little starfish there. And his tentacles are kind of reaching all over. You know what? I think he needs a few suction cups on his tentacles. They're just little U's or N's, upside down C's. I think he needs some suction cups on those tentacles. So I'm just going to give him some of those. Use your imagination. I wonder what is in your world. I'm looking forward to it. I love seeing your drawings. Please send them in. I will hand out dojo points for those for sure. So he has his suction cups, and he's kind of hanging out on this rock or this reef thing here. You know what? I think I need to make a couple more stones over here just to kind of make it look like he's not floating around anywhere. Maybe some big stones, some little stones. He's just kind of hanging out over here. And I think he's so far and deep under the ocean that way, 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 way back here, it's all still under the ocean. In my world, we're not going to see the sky at all. So I think that way back here, way into the ocean, I think we're just going to kind of see like sort of the sandy bottom of the ocean. It's way back here. And maybe way back here off in the distance in this ocean, there was an old kind of like an underground or under the water castle. And it's kind of broken down, and it's kind of like in ruins, but I'm going to imagine that way back here in the ocean, there was some sort of an underground castle. Or underwater. I keep saying underground. I mean underwater. But that's way back there in the ocean way far off. And it's kind of broken down. So some of the parts are still good, but some of the parts are kind of broken down. I just thought that would be really kind of cool. Not like a sandcastle, because that would be above the water, but I'm talking like an old kind of broken down castle that was way back under the water somewhere. Who knows? Maybe that's where some mermaids lived, or maybe that's where King Triton lived, or Ariel, if you watch The Little Mermaid. But I thought that would be really cool to kind of put that back there. And maybe here on the sandy bottom, maybe there's a few more places where there are some rocks and a little bit of seaweed growing. Just kind of squiggly lines for seaweed. And you know what? Maybe there's something who lives here, but we don't know what it is. So we're just going to put a few little bubbles coming out. Show that something is breathing under there, but we don't really know what it is. I like my drawing so far, and I think I'm just going to keep kind of wondering and using my imagination what else is in my world back here. I think that there has to be maybe there's going to be some, maybe there's a even, here's the rocky thing that's under the water, and this octopus is just chilling here. And then there is this kind of sandy area in between here and this old broken down mysterious castle, and we don't really know what used to live there, but it's all underwater. I'm thinking that even way back here behind that, maybe there is some coral. And coral I'm just going to make with like squiggly lines, almost kind of like fingers. But let's pretend that maybe there is a coral reef back here. All these kind of weird shapes and squiggly lines even behind, way back here. I think that looks kind of cool. But you see, we have different layers here, right? So we have this, which we're going to call our foreground because it's most towards the front. This we're going to call the mid-ground, or the mid-level of the painting. And this, or the drawing, sorry. And this we're going to kind of call the background because it's way the furthest in the back. And this is all still underwater, okay? And maybe this goes so far back that maybe way back here, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm thinking that maybe way, 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 way back in the water, as far as we can see, maybe there is a dolphin back here. Maybe there's a dolphin back there, kind of playing around and swimming. And maybe he has a friend. And the friend is jumping around back here as well. I'm going to do this. Again, you can make yours however you like, but this is my world, okay? So I'm going to say these dolphins are breathing too. So they're letting out a few bubbles. But in my world, all of this is underwater. The whole thing is underwater. And then who knows? Maybe peeking around the back of this castle back here in my world, maybe there is a mermaid who's kind of looking out. Or maybe there's, maybe there's a mermaid that's kind of hanging out but swam behind here because mermaid did not want to be seen. So all I'm going to do is put the mermaid tail behind here and kind of leave that up to the person looking at the drawing to try to figure out what that might be. I think it might be cool. Maybe, maybe this could be a mermaid castle. Maybe we could put on the top of these old castle towers here, maybe we could put, I think, what they would call tridents. If you learn anything about mermaids, my daughter loves mermaids. So this one's kind of broken down, so I'm going to have this one a little bit broken down. My daughter loves mermaids, so she would call them tridents. She knows all about this stuff. But anyways, this is my world using my imagination, and then I would go ahead and color this in. Crayons or paint or watercolor or colored pencils, markers, anything that you have at home. I don't really know what everybody has at home, so I am just doing drawings with you and leaving the rest up to you whether you want to color. But remember, the more details that you can fill in your background, the more interesting it's going to be to look at, and people are going to really, really be excited about what you have drawn. I'm looking forward to seeing your pictures. Snap a picture of them, put them up on Dojo. I'm handing out dojos. I'm really excited to see what you have. Keep on drawing. Have fun.